Hey everyone, what's up? This is Mozart speaking. Well, we have another red day. This time the reasons are once again Trump's tariffs. He said late last night that even though they reached an agreement with Mexico and Canada to delay these tariffs for a month, he still plans to impose those duties. 25%. Yeah, tariffs. Crypto reacted very harshly, especially else. The drop, as you can see, is pretty significant. So, Bitcoin isn't doing too terrible, but the altcoins are in worse shape. Given that this fall is purely due to inertia here, already. It's like the final blow for those who didn't exit on February 3rd. They're really getting crushed here. It's all about the volumes, because they're smaller. The main ones got wiped out. I made a video yesterday, titled Capitulation back on February 3rd. This is where they're getting finished off. So, why is this drop happening purely on inertia? If you look at the dollar index, notice how it reacted. For example, if we open the 4-hour chart when he announced the tariffs on February 3rd. For the dollar, this was an incredible move. And what was the reaction yesterday? Right here. There was basically no one around. Let's open a 5-minute chart to make it clearer. And what was the reaction yesterday? Right here. There was basically no one around. Let's open a 5-minute chart to make it clearer. Just like that. This is the reaction right here, the first wave and the second wave. So, it's basically just a small thing. And everything has already returned to normal. Even an American fund, such as Russell 2000 in principle, also did not react catastrophically. It stayed roughly in the same range. The Nasdaq reacted a bit more strongly, but overall, it didn't really crash that hard either. Crypto reacted strongly. So, a lot of it is because there aren't many buyers in the market right now. And it's not hard to push the market down. So, this is the reaction right here. This is Bitcoin. Alta dropped even harder. Much stronger. Yesterday, we had a market capitalization of $850 billion. Right now, we're dropping another 6%. It's already at 795. So what should we do now? What are my plans? Overall, for those interested in my results, I'm not hiding it again. So, I'm in a long position at 97,300. Well, you all know where I'm planning to average down. 87, 88. Well, I mentioned these prices yesterday. About these levels. Here's my long position. Here's the cancellation point, based on the daily candle close. But here, I probably won't close it. I'll just add more. If it gets knocked out, then it will reach that point. On altcoins and overall. Fingers. And in total, what is the result in T.K? For those interested, right now, there's a drawdown of about 20%, so considering all the positions I've taken specifically in this flow, it's down 20%. I closed with a profit of 22, and I've practically rolled it back to zero, but again, the market is tough. It's a market that shakes you out. And where I eliminated many, I just rolled to zero, in total for the last 2 streams further. But this current result, just to be honest with everyone, I'm saying it as it is right now. I'm counting on a rebound. Yesterday, I also mentioned it. And they talk about the crowd, so let's start with Bitcoin. Here we have Bitcoin. This channel, I drew it yesterday, and nothing has changed here. We can still hit the lower boundary of this channel around 87. Or we might not hit it. A lot of people are waiting for those prices right now. We'll see. I won't speculate. Next, altcoins. Right now, I think everyone is more interested in altcoins than Bitcoin. Here are the altcoins. Yesterday, I said we might go down to 50 again. Here we are at 50. Here it is, $800 billion. Let's retest. Retest of this liquidity. That is, here. Here, technically, we need to rebound somehow. Somehow. We can only update this low, if it happens. Unrealistically fast. And that's, roughly, how it was on August 5th, because we are already here. Here is this situation we are. Here it is the end of July, roughly by analogy, if we compare. Just like it was before, here we are. Just like that, you see, we've reached 50, right here at the end of July. And so we sewed it up with a quick return. This is the only way to do it. Otherwise, it's just a total dive into a bear market. If we manage to hold and close right here, and even lower. But overall, I'm still counting on this bounce. About from this zone. With a slightly higher probability. Basically, we've had enough of a correction. We've done it. That's enough. A lot of chart liquidity has stepped to the top. It would be good to shave off because there are fewer and fewer long positions below. And there's less and less liquidity below. I'll show you that right now. So with each new drop, there's less liquidation. And the losses are getting smaller. So there's really not much to catch down there. From the nearest low, I mean for the short-term traders. And the entry point for long-term traders is much lower. It's right here. About that. Here's the situation with Alta right now. Right now, we are following the scenario of retesting the $800 billion mark. Here we are retesting this mark. Let's see what happens next. For now, I'm counting on a bounce from the current levels. There will be a bounce. Could there be a spike? Right here, to repeat the analogy. On August 5th, what was the carry rate for the yen? Yeah, hypothetically, it could. But with a lower probability. Again, I'm just saying it as it is, purely based on probabilities. How it will actually play out, both scenarios are likely. But in any of their scenarios, I'm expecting a good bounce. So, still around the trillion mark. Right here. And here we'll decide what to do next. Crypto is already starting to react in a not so appropriate way to everything that's happening in the market because Nasdaq drops. All these tariffs from Trump aren't really affecting the American stock market or even the dollar index anymore. But crypto is starting to wobble and swing with every little sneeze. Next, here are the liquidations. But this is a breakdown by the hour. So, during this overnight drop, after the update in the announcement of the new rates, we had a liquidation of $54 million, long positions, net, which is very far off. Here are the liquidations peaking at $120 to $125 million. February 3rd. So, this is what I was talking about. We updated the low, but the liquidations are 3 times less. So, liquidity from the bottom is decreasing. Next. Meanwhile, the funding is positive. This wave here, that's the Bybit hack, so you don't really need to pay much attention to it. Here, the funding is still positive. So, I've already mentioned, as long as the funding is positive, the bull market isn't over. The main thing is that it doesn't drop below zero. Well, in this case, I'm not talking about the lows for Bitcoin. Moving on. The average entry point for all the short-term traders. Finally, we broke through that line. They have an average entry point, 92,848. So, we just broke through it. And right now, there are big liquidations here. You can see it. You can see it in the cluster, and you can see it in the logic. They're closing out at a loss here. So, this is the baseline entry point for short-term traders. That was a good point for a bounce. Right here. After the Iranian attack in the spring of 24. That was a good point back in January. In 24, after the bottom, from the approval of the Bitcoin ETF, the final approval. Well, in any cycle, that was a good entry point. It didn't even get here in 2021, except for the Chinese crash. And here we are in 2017. We've broken through it 1, 2, 3 times. Also, it went down a bit and then bounced back up. Next. Here's this MWRV chart, the average. Market value, realized value. Average entry price. Across the entire market. So right now we're moving closer to the -1 sigma mark. The average was 97, about the same as my entry point for Bitcoin. -1 sigma is at the mark of $86,000 to $87,000, where I plan to average down. I'll say it again, it's not a sure thing that we'll get there. It's quite possible that they could stop and buy back from the current levels. You can't really guess here. At any moment, there could be a stop. But the fact that this is the next level of support is true. And Why am I saying this? So you understand why I'm averaging down here. And I'll average down here with a larger volume than on 1SP. I got an up there. Next, open interest. It shrunk a lot. Look at this blue line. Looking at the last year, or even a bit more. Since the beginning of 2024, when this metric started being tracked at all. As soon as it drops. The line is at 0, and below 0, and below. This indicates that open interest is very low, and it shows that the prevailing trend is fading. It's coming to an end. And, essentially, it marked the bottom everywhere, whether here, here, or here. This also played out here, and now we've come back to this level. Open interest has been significantly reduced. Next, despite everything. Basically, we still see a net outflow, in total, of Bitcoin and Ether from exchanges, a net positive position specifically on wallets, on cold wallets, and a -1 on hot exchange wallets. This business is being bought out. This is being bought back. And MicroStrategy reported buying, I think, another $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. So, from what I've read in the news, in general, no, change is here. They're buying up all this drop. They're buying it back pretty heavily. So, for 3 days in a row, the outflows have been over $300 million from the exchanges in total. Next, the translated volume of short-term holders adjusted for urgency. Take a look at this too. This is a breakdown by the hour. Let's break all this down a bit, at least over 3 hours, to make it clearer. Look at how these losing volumes are dropping in relation to February 3rd. Here's how much was transferred here. We updated the low. How much is left from what was transferred? Several times less. And these peaks, they actually indicate a local bottom. Exactly. They're talking about a local bottom. And on the retest. Here, then there was a retest. By the way, this is also a smaller volume. Here's the retest. Here, there's no retest. Here, there's no retest. Here, there's no retest. Right now, we're seeing a retest, just like it was here and here. Next. The percentage of profitable positions has dropped to 78%. This is already a clear line. Critical line. For now, it's still around 80 plus or minus, but we can't drop below that and really settle down lower. We can't settle down lower. Otherwise, we'll end up with the same scenario again, which was right here. So even after the Iranian attack, we bounced back from higher levels. Even here. Because right now, we're right here. Here. It's almost July 2024. If we don't bounce back quickly here, we might see a repeat of that scenario. And there will be 87 and maybe even $85,000. So, right now, we need to bounce back quickly. For now, it's around 80. For now. Even $75 was at the low in January after the approval of the spot ETF. But they don't consider 75, because these numbers are counted after reaching a test. But at that time, the ATH hadn't been reached, so we need to compare with these readings, the readings from 2021 and 2017, after the latest ATH update. So this is the current line, roughly. Here it comes. About 80%. These are the support levels. They are support levels everywhere, in bull markets. What happened in 2017 and in 2021? We fell below them, and we're going to drop way lower. We fell below them, and we went way lower. And this is already a bear market. So, in conclusion, the Fear and Greed Index. 25. 25 is the extreme of firms. Extreme fear. Extreme. Given that the last month he fell just sharp swings from the grid, from greed. So, extreme fear. So basically, selling off at the current levels, closing the entire portfolio at a loss, and forgetting about crypto, well, that's obviously foolish. Even from a probability standpoint. That is. A rebound is expected on all fronts. Well, it cannot objectively fall endlessly for a long time without drawing a rebound. Especially since it's been dropping on its own without the stock market really being involved. from my perspective. There's this final cleansing wave happening before the rebound. Again, total 3, once again, I repeat, the final wave of purification, where it becomes total 3. This would be a good place to stop. Holding at 800 would be ideal. This is the daily chart for the 200 moving average. It's questionable to hit 365, but with a very quick rebound, then it will be an analogy. August 5th will be a repeat. Then it will be an analogy. August 5th. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible. But with a slightly lower probability. And this is where it should turn around and head back, right here, at the very least. Right here. And, even better, at $1 trillion. I'm waiting for a return to $1 trillion. About that. Do I have it in the script? Considering what has already happened. For now, yes. For now, yes. But, we need to see what's happening here. Honestly, for now, yes, but there are already more questions. There are already more questions under 1.0, yes. A retest of $1 trillion, yes. And as soon as it hits $1 trillion, I'll be thinking about what to do. Either completely close out or wait. It depends on what sentiment it comes back with. In the area of 951 trillion. If this is based on what? America has basically confirmed the approval of creating a Bitcoin reserve. Then, I probably won't. If it's based on something else, then I probably will. But we'll find that out when it actually happens. Well, it will depend on how it gets there, with what kind of candles, what volume, and so on. That's it. I've said everything I wanted to say. So, that's how it is. Thank you all. This was Mozart on the line. Don't panic. Thank you. Lately, they're only giving Bitcoin in the main channel. I think now you understand why. Or did you get why? Repeat after me. It's just that everything I do is 100% Bitcoin based and you won't have any options to liquidate. In the worst case, we'll just spend some extra time, but for sure. No liquidation, definitely no losing your deposit. That is. If you keep an eye on my volumes and my entry points, thank you all. And have a great day, everyone. Bye.